Are you the good wrestler or the evil wrestler? Because
I'm the bad guy.
You're the bad guy?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I love playing the bad guy. I mean, I got to be a good guy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as a business owner.
Yeah.
It's nice to just for once be that other guy.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
Right.
All right, welcome back to another episode of A Small Town Grit. We have Larry McGrandy, owner of One Life Fitness in Metropolis of Vassar. Is it a metropolis?
I guess you could call it that.
Let's call it that. It sounds way cooler.
Yeah.
So, welcome, Larry.
Thank you for having me on this nice summery winter day.
Yeah, it feels like you probably should have a gym outside some days, like in Venice Beach, and just go pump some iron outside.
February 28th, and it's 70 degrees out right now, a little over 70.
Yeah,
you got the lawnmowers fired up.
No, they're in the shop though. I still got the plow equipment out. It's that time of year for us. It's like we've plowed snow in the morning and we've mowed lawn in the afternoon. I mean, it's just what it is.
Only in Michigan, right?
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. So you're a Vassar grad? Are you?
Yeah, 98. Was born and raised here. I've been here pretty much my whole life. I moved twice and found my way back. I spent
I've heard that story before.
Yeah. Yep. Spent a year down in Detroit for a year, Westland area. I wanted to be closer to the border when I was first breaking into the pro wrestling scene, and I trained in Canada, so it was much more made a lot more sense to drive 20 minutes to the border and hop over than drive 2 hours.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't think you went hardcore into the wrestling. I didn't know you went training. I thought you were just one day hey, I'm just gonna throw around and make it happen.
It's been a grind, brother.
Yeah,
it's been a grind, and it's been it's been 20 years. I want to say a little over 20 years, 21 years.
Yeah,
going down this year.
You went to Canada to train.
Yep. That's the whole story in itself. Let's go back a ways. Growing up, I loved wrestling. I think I was 3 years old when I started watching, and so that's 40 years ago. The way it came down, actually, the way my mom told the story is she was doing dishes, and I was acting like a little maniac running around the house, and she sat me down in front of the TV, what we tell parents not to do now, don't use TV as a babysitter, right? But she sat me down in front of the TV with one of those large push-button TVs. She was pushing buttons, trying to find something that would calm me down. And all of a sudden, this show came on with these people that had these neon pants on, and I shut right up, as she said. And she sat there and let me watch it. She went back to work, and I fell in love, and it just was one thing that I guess I grew attached to at that point and stuck with me for 40 years.
I graduated in 98 too, and we had Luke on here, and it was kind of a similar story. He enjoyed wrestling. Wrestling was kind of a big thing in the 90s when we were kind of growing up, and I remember going to parties and hanging out with the guys, and we just wrestled. It was we tried to show moves like we saw on TV, and but it's kind of neat how you just kind of progress and want to make a little mini profession, amateur profession out of it.
Growing up, I never knew there was some place you could go to figure out how to be a pro wrestler, So as I was growing up, I would go to live events in Detroit, Saginaw, Flint, when the Flint was the IMA Sports Arena. And when I was in I just turned 20, I want to say, maybe 21, I had went to a show in Detroit, and I had bumped it. Whenever I go to the shows, I would go early, meet the guys, get their autographs, pictures, all that kind of stuff. And I ran into this kid that was there. Is younger than I am. And he had told me that we had to talking about wrestling. He said, "Oh, thanks. I had actually went with Luke back when I was 18. I went down to Cincinnati and looked at the school that he was at. And at the time, my dad had just recently passed away, and it was just me and my mom. And she wasn't ready for me to leave the homestead yet. So I had to pass on my moment to go to Cincinnati, which I guess everything happens for a reason, right? And ran into this kid down in Detroit, and he was talking to me about a pro wrestling school in Windsor. And I started just going over things in my head. Like, Windsor's not that far from Vassar, yada, yada. He said, the guy's name's Scott Demore, give him a call. Went to the show that night, got home, and it was almost immediately that next day. I called Scott, got his voicemail, told him who I was, my interest in getting into pro wrestling, and weeks went by, and I made multiple phone calls to him. I hadn't heard anything back, and I was out to dinner one night at Golden China over in Saginaw with a couple of friends of mine, and my phone goes off. It was an unrecognizable number. I didn't recognize it. And this raspy voice is, hey, this is Scott Demore. Larry, I heard you were interested in checking out our school. He set up a date with me and checked out the school, and I ended up going to the school of hard knocks for a while.
Yeah. I'm sure it's rough to figure out all the loops of wrestling. And
It is. Is
there a point that you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to my body?
Dude, I'm 44 years old, and I ask myself that every day still. It's like, but once you get into it, I always say it's like getting bit by a bug. Once it gets in your blood, it's hard to get it out, really. And there's a lot of components to it, from like the relationships that you develop with the guys you train with to the relationships you develop with the people that you meet. A lot of good that comes with it. I mean, it's definitely a decision that I am thankful that I made. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be able to achieve what I have in it, along with being able to stick with it for as long as I have.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's grueling on the body. I mean, I'm jacked up, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There's nights I'll lay in bed and I'll get my thigh will go numb and it'll burn. I get tingling in my fingers and that, all the cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
sign me up for this gig.
Right. When can I go do more, right? And you gotta keep getting older, and we're getting around some of the younger guys. Like the guy, funny stories we'll get into later. The kid that I met gave me Scott's contact info. We ended up going and training together, and here we are now, like 20 years later, me and him own a pro wrestling company together now.
Oh, okay.
But we seeing some of the kids that come in, they work for us in our shows and that, and I sit and I listen to some of the things they're saying. And I'm like, slow it down, man. Let me tell you. And then I'll go in and I'll say, I'm not doing that. And then next thing I know, I end up doing it.
Yeah.
It's all good times though, right?
Yeah. So how do you acquire your stage name? I mean, is it just, are you always your name, or do you come out with a persona of,
No, I came up with one, and I never knew that it was a name that was used before. So I worked this show in Bay City, and they were putting out the results. And at the time, I was trying to go by the name Brian Fury, right? It was a mixture of one of my favorite wrestlers, Brian Pillman, and kind of his persona all thrown into one. And the next day on the internet, when they released the results, there's people from all over the United States saying, "Oh my God, Brian Fury's wrestling again." Didn't realize that somebody already had the name and had been doing it prior to me. So then we had to go into a more of a shift of a name, and between me and my buddy Bravo, we came up with Lawrence Jeter, and we just ran with it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Are you the good wrestler, or the evil wrestler? Because
I'm the bad guy.
You're the bad guy?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I love playing the bad guy. I mean, I got to be a good guy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as a business owner.
Yeah.
It's nice to just for once be that other guy.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
Right.
Oh, that's funny. So you've been doing it for 20 some years. You say you own a little.
Yeah. We own our own promotion. We started it about a year and a half ago. Combat One Pro Wrestling. We run out of the Detroit area.
Okay.
We've got.
Do you travel all over? Or you just pretty much centralized right there?
Right now, we're centralized down there. We do shows in like Waterford. We got a show coming up in Brighton there, and then we kind of jump all over that area. It's really a hotbed. I mean, eventually we do want to bring it up this way and run some shows up here. We've got some pretty notable names that we have that work for us, like Matt Riddle. He was with the WWE. He's our champion right now. I work with Darren McCarty really close. He works for us. We work together. He's kind of gotten into this crazy world over the last couple of years too. Super nice guy too, man. Really nice guy.
I think that's like even today, everybody wants those belts, and I think that all started from wrestling.
Yep.
The big Hulk Hogan throwing it over his shoulder, and
You see them everywhere now. Hey, you go win a World Series. Hey, here's a belt.
Yeah.
Win a Super Bowl. Here's a belt. Right.
Yeah. It's not a ring anymore. It's a belt.
Yeah.
I want a championship belt.
Right. Right. Without the pain.
Without the pain. Unless you're in bull riding.
Yeah.
You ever do that before?
No. I mean, I have no inkling to.
No, but you'll jump in a ring with some guy and get knocked out.
Yeah, I can semi-control that. Like, I can't control what a horse does to me, right? Or a bull, I should say. I'm sorry. Yeah. Wrong sport.
Well, they think they do wild horse riding too.
Yeah,
I don't think you're too far off from your.
Nah, I'll stay away from that too.
So how'd you circle back to Michigan and what you're in today? And you're kind of the staple of the downtown. You have the biggest real estate business in town.
Well,
downtown, I should say.
I was. Let's see here. I had originally, like I said, moved down to Westland for wrestling. I was there for a year, and then while I was there, I got my first gig working in a gym. I worked. I was going to wrestling school, working at the gym part time, and then I was working at GNC as well, and then I was taking college classes too. And I got hired in at this gym, and I fell in love with the gym life. Fell in love with it. I never ever went into fitness with the idea of, hey, I'm going to own my own gym one day. When I first agreed to take on this job, I was in college. It was the poorest time of my life, right? Give me a second job, give me some extra money. And so I got hired in folding towels and checking people in at the front desk. And they had asked me to start doing some personal training for this challenge they were doing. Where it was more of a fitness type challenge, where I would work with people one-on-one. We'd assess them, and at one point, 12 weeks later, we'd assess them again, see exactly where their improvements were, and whoever had the greatest improvements won. But I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with it. And then I stuck with it. At that time, I was doing free personal training. And so I stuck with it. And after the challenge was over, I kept working with my clients. And then my manager at the time said, man, we got to get you paid for this. So they put together a contract for me to sign with my clients. And when I approached my clients, I was a little nervous. I've been doing it for free for all this time.
Right.
And that luckily, none of them batted an eye. And they said, you need to get paid for this.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
that was, I guess, kind of how it all started. And before opening my club, I had worked at that gym. And then I had went to work for an Anytime Fitness when I was in the UP. And then this place down here just accidentally happened, like literally.
Yeah, it's all meant to be sometimes,
it was an accident, right?
Yeah. Is gym life different? Was it different 20 years ago than it is today?
Yeah, I definitely I would say yes. I think that technology has a lot to do with that. You're seeing before. I think that there was the thought, and this is no disrespect to females out there, that there was a lot of thought like, oh, I can't lift weights. That was for men. Man, now you look at like today's gym demographic versus demographic back 20 years ago when I started doing the gym stuff. Down here, our largest population is 50 and above females.
Wow.
It's I think people have caught on a little more and they understand that this isn't just about, okay, who can lift the heaviest weights, who's got the largest muscles. Yeah. It's about who can live the healthiest life. And it's not a competition of my life being healthy versus yours.
I think when we kind of grew up, like I remember, like if I think of gym and weightlifting, I think of like Arnold or Ronnie Coleman and like these guys that are like doing it professionally. And that's what I think of. And maybe a lot of people think of the gym as that is kind of a bunch of meatheads or whatever you want to call it. And it's not more of a fitness and sculpting and just personal health. And I think that's what you're really pushing at your establishment is personal health. Yeah.
And it's funny you say that because even today, after being open for almost 11 years now, you still get people that'll walk in and like, wow, this isn't what I was expecting. I was expecting that you had more people in here geared towards lifting weights. And it's they're surprised when they walk in and they see the environment that we offer.
Yeah. It is top notch. I mean, for our smaller community, we have 1,800 people here, and really it's cutting edge. And you just upgraded your facility this last year.
Yep, this last year was a year ago in November. We started ordering new equipment. I wanted to do something special for the community and for our members. We've for supporting us the way they have over the last 10 years. And I decided we were going to start upgrading. So we upgraded everything. Everything in the gym's brand new. Then we even remodeled our back classroom. We did some updates to the outside as far as painting, new awnings, and whatnot.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And just trying to shine it up a little bit. I think Vassar deserves that.
On the equipment upgrade, is it a technology? Is it a technology increase? Or like
it is really.
Yeah.
It is like the equipment that we have down there it's free motion. Like when you go into a gym, you'll see like Cybex, Life Fitness, Free Motion, Precor, Hammer Strength. There's a lot of different brands. And what happens is every like 5 to 6 years, these companies will they'll make their own upgrades, and a lot of it's technology, like the way that the equipment's designed. A lot of the brand new machines that we have, we had on the old line, but they're set up differently on the new line, and people actually feel it a little differently. It's a little more intense. So to answer your question, a lot of it's technology.
It's just crazy how it's just crazy. I mean, I think 20 years ago, none of this stuff ever.
No.
Technology and weightlifting.
Right. And now we're tracking everything we do on our phones.
Yeah.
Or on our watches.
Yeah.
I know there's times where I forget to set my watch. I'm like, shit, the workout doesn't count now. I didn't record it. Right. So it's nuts how technology is just really like taking.
I think that probably has helped your business a little bit because it keeps people accountable.
It does.
Before it's like, and we're creatures of habit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's even if I went into the gym and I've done this with you a couple of times, like, I'm going to get a membership. And I show up for like 2 times and then I'm busy and, where I'm an entrepreneur like you. And it's like, you get caught up in something. It's like, gosh, I'm like, it's literally across the street. I have to walk across the street, but you got to come get me or something, Larry.
Come knock on the door. Take your phone away from you too. Yeah. That's the other thing I tell people. To think about how often you scroll throughout the day. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're like an hour down a rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
Then you think, okay, what if I'd have split that hour in half to a half hour and I done something more productive? Not saying that you're not.
No, I think of that and like I do that.
It's like I always say, my saying I always use: squeeze that orange, get every little bit of juice out of the orange that you can.
Yeah.
So no.
Oh, you make me feel guilty.
That I can see you tomorrow, right?
I don't know what tomorrow. I gotta check my calendar. It's nice though. I'm falling apart, Larry. I feel like you. I'm like, I need a knee replacement already.
Yeah.
And I tore a ligament in my left arm. I'm shambles.
That's right. Your pitching arm?
No.
I'm,
and then I do things that I think that I can do when I'm 20, and then I hurt myself.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I'm not looking for the next 20 years. What's your stage name?
Lawrence Jeter.
Lawrence Jeter. That's a good ring to it.
Yeah.
So you have like are you tag team or are you just like one band?
No,
you mix it up?
I actually, we are a tag team. There's myself and 2 other guys that actually trained over at Can-Am. They came on, gosh, I'm quite a ways after I did. I mean, I don't as much now, but like prior to about a few years ago, I was still going over there and training.
Oh, okay.
Not all the time.
Yeah.
Not all the time. It was once in a while thing, keep the rust off. And that's where I ran into Kurt and Fob. And we ended up getting thrown together. And we had great chemistry because we were all close from training there. And it just kind of took off from there. And we were sitting, gosh, I think we were either sitting at a show in the locker room or we were in class. I cannot remember. But Kurt looked at me and he goes, you know what I always wanted to do? I always wanted to be a team called the A team because they're like legit Canadian, right? So like A instead of A. So I thought
like the
about
Mr.
it.
but Canadian version.
A. So I thought that's pretty damn slick. Let's run with it.
Yeah.
So we did, and it was actually we ran a show here in Vassar back years ago. I don't want to say years ago. I'll date myself there, but it was probably about 7 years ago. We ran a show out here, and that's where the A team was born.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was that in the pavilion?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was pretty big doings then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was a fun show.
Yeah. Who's your favorite wrestler?
Gosh.
Or you got to be like today in the NBA. You got to go by eras.
Yeah. No. I think all time was probably gosh, I mean, I grew up, Hogan attracted me to the sport, but I honestly, all times probably Bret Hart.
Oh, Bret Hart. Yeah. He was a character, man.
Yeah.
He was good. Yeah. There were so many greats back then.
Yeah.
And even when the 90s, I mean, they had NWO and all that good. It was just good storyline.
And I think I'm sorry.
That's what it's about, right?
Right. I think one of the coolest things about getting in and getting involved with it is I've met a majority of my heroes. And
yeah.
There is a saying, you don't meet your heroes, and some of them trust me, don't meet your heroes. But there is a good amount where it's just that you're riding down the road with them and just having conversation, and then you almost have to pinch yourself. Like we were doing a show in Bay City, and I had Jimmy Hart with me, and we were driving down the road, and his phone rang, and it was Hulk Hogan calling him. Him and Hogan are like this. They ran they have a hotel/bar down in Florida, and they had a real bad hurricane down there. It was a mess, and Hogan was calling to update him on insurance stuff and the damages that had been done. And I'm just driving down the road, and I'm like sitting there, like he's talking to Hulk Hogan. He's right next to me. You don't know how bad I wanted to say, "Hey, can I talk to him for a second?" Well, obviously, he keep professionalism and
I feel bad for the greats of the day. I mean, they're just beat up. You see
God,
Hawking with his cane and.
Yeah. That is the sad part. Like it's kind of seeing some of these guys that you idolized growing up and watching them, and then watching them get along now. It comes with the territory, though.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. No, it does. So, what's the next plans for the gym and Larry McGrandy?
I really would like to expand. We've got a couple of things in the works right now that we're working on. I don't want to lead too much onto it, just because it is still up in the air. But we do want to do an expansion, and there's something we'd like to do here in Vassar. So stay tuned. Hopefully it all works out the way that we want it to. But really, when it's all said and done, I would like to own more than one. I would like to have.
I was thinking about your gym the other day because we were obviously you're on the show today, and I was like, I think every community around us has a small gym.
Yep.
And you're able to succeed to the level that you are. You kind of separate yourself from the competition, and I think that's your dedication to your to health and to the clients, and you want the best out of them every day. Everybody's gonna have their own program. It goes back to your individual training.
Mm-hmm.
That you want the best out of each individual, what they're looking to get.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I've always when I see somebody walk in the door, the first thing is always a hi, how you doing, and a good morning, or a hey, have a great day, something along those lines. I love people, man. I do. I love people. I get this part of I probably get from my mother, where I don't care how bad you've done me wrong in the past, man. I still love you, and I want to help you.
Yeah.
And I want to help everybody, like whether it's some stranger or somebody that I might have known for, the existence of my entire life. But I want to see people do well. And I love life, and I love people, and I want to see everybody succeed, especially this community. Like I've said, I've moved away twice, and I've come back, and there's a reason that I've come back. I love the community. I love the community. I love the kids in the community. I love the people in the community.
I was going to talk about the kids because, not that it's like any entrepreneur, small business owner, or even anybody that has, involved in their profession, you take additional time and you coach.
Yeah.
I know you coached the softball team for many years, and now you're back into the football program. You always were in the football program. So you did 2 different seasons down at the community with the kids. And I know you have a lot of, don't you still do like the summer program for the kids to kind of get them over at the gym and get them out of their house? And so, it never stops for you, man.
No, it's I always tell people I own a 24-hour gym, but I work 25 hours, I wouldn't have it any other way. I absolutely love it. I've been coaching football for 17 years. I did softball for 12 years, I want to say. And had some basketball sprinkled in there, and I actually am still coaching right now, 7th grade basketball. So I'm still doing a little bit of basketball here and there, but it's one, I love sports, but most importantly, it's about the kids. And I think the coolest thing too is creating these relationships with kids. I just had this conversation with somebody today. I think we're seeing more kids return to the Vassar area now. Like they after graduation, they go whether it's trade school, whether it's college. Seeing them come back to the community, I think that's just awesome. It's a way of watching our community grow and recontributing to the community too.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you. I know our community appreciates you. I mean, like you said, it's 25 hours a day. It never stops, and it's 7 days a week.
Like I said, I wouldn't have it any other way. I love this place. I do. I appreciate what you do too. I mean, especially like lately, I think this podcast you're doing, I think is absolutely awesome. I do. I watch it. It's one of those things where like your first one you did with Kramer.
Yeah.
You start watching, and it's one of those things where it's like, you want to watch more.
Yeah.
You want to watch more. You're
Jim's
watching.
Exception. Jim got a new job.
I just saw that.
I haven't seen him working yet, but he announced it on Facebook, so it was official.
Yeah. Yeah, I seen that the other day, and I thought, holy cow, I wonder how slow that line's going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't go to Jim's line.
Especially when you got to get home soon, right?
So I don't know if you're looking for a side hustle, because we can get you in somewhere.
I'm good right now, man.
All right. Hey, Larry, I appreciate you stopping in today.
Yeah, thanks.
So wish you the best. If you need anything, we're right across the street. Maybe pick me up tomorrow.
Yeah, that's no problem. I'll throw you piggyback on the way over, right?
Hey, thanks again, Larry.
Thanks for having me, Corey.
Yeah.